Our reading today is a selection from a speech given by the writer Zadie Smith called On Optimism and Despair. Zadie Smith is one of my favorite essayists. She's a brilliant writer, she's a Gen Xer, she's of Afro-British heritage, and she's profoundly committed to the power of literature and stories to tell truths about our times and world. This essay is taken from a speech she gave in Germany about 5 years ago. And it recounts a trip that she made with her father, revisiting sites that he had encountered in 1945 as a young soldier during the Reconstruction. She writes, "We made a funny pair on that tour, I'm sure, a young black girl and her elderly white father, clutching our guidebooks and seeking those spots in Berlin that my father had visited 50 years earlier. It is from him that I have inherited both my optimism and my despair. He had been among the liberators at Belsen, and therefore had seen among the worst that this world has to offer. But he had from there gone forward with sufficiently open heart and mind, striding into one failed marriage and then another, marrying both times across lines of class, color, and temperament, meeting my mother, Yvonne, and yet still found in life reasons to be cheerful, reasons even for joy. He was a member of the white working class, a man often afflicted by despair, who still managed to retain a core of optimism. Perhaps in a different time, under different cultural influences, living in a different society, he would have become one of those rabid old angry men of whom so many are so afraid. As it was, born in 1925 and dying in 2006, he saw his children benefit from the post-war protections of free education and free health care. And he had so many reasons to be grateful. This is the world I knew. Things have changed, but history is not erased by change. And the examples of the past still hold out new possibilities for all of us, opportunities to remake for a new generation the conditions from which we or our parents may have benefited. Progress is never permanent. Progress will always be threatened. Progress must always be redoubled, restated, reimagined if it is to survive. It is from my father I've inherited both my optimism and my despair. Progress must be reimagined if it is to survive." Thank you.
Now is a time in our service where we take an offering. We know it's the gifts of all of us that help support our ability to thrive and gather. For those attending in person, we'll pass the collection plate. Please use the envelope you'll find in the pew. Write your name and indicate if your offering is part of your pledge or it's a donation. For those online, links and instructions will be posted in the chat. You can mail us a check or donate through the PayPal giving page on our website. Please give as generously as you can. Our offerings will be greatly received.
And just a reminder, we'll have two collections. The first will be for our congregation, the second for the community in Rockland. Thank you.
song. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. Nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can save that can be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. Nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. Nowhere you can be that isn't where you were meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All together now. All you need is love, everybody. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. Love is all you need. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. Now, please turn in your gray hymnal to number 399, Vine and Fig Tree. We'll sing the first section twice, then the second section twice, then go back to the first section and sing it twice. And then we've got a real treat. Sarah is then going to sing the song in Hebrew. And everyone neath the vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And everyone neath the vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more. And everyone neath the vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And everyone neath the vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid.
Though he so goyal goyhem, though he may do milchama, though he so goyal goyhem, though he may do milchama, though he so goyal goyhem, though he may do milchama, though he so goyal goyhem.
One more time, and everyone neath the vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And everyone neath the vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more.
want to offer a prayer from the Reverend Elizabeth Wen for when I really don't want to learn this. And she offers, Spirit, I would really not learn this. Didn't think I needed to. I thought someone else could do it. I thought a leader was coming to do it. I thought the young people could do it, or the elders could do it, or other professionals could do it. I don't want to learn because it means letting go of something I hold dear. Letting go of being someone who knows the answers. Letting go of being someone who doesn't know. Letting go of the way I see the world. Letting go of how I might have to change. Letting go of certainty, of control. Of the myth that you can live on this earth and be perfect and never harm. Of the myth that I can't learn anything new. Help me to learn, please. And then help me to live what I've learned and do right by the gift of being taught. Amen. May it be so. There is an ancient teaching and saying that comes to us from the Jewish book of Micah that says, what does the Eternal require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God? If you go visit some of our old, even older than this, Unitarian congregations, you might even find that scripture passage etched on the back wall or the side wall of some of the sanctuaries. But it reminds us that faith isn't just an idea, it's not just a feeling, it's not just an action, but a combination of practice. Our Unitarian faith is something we live. It's not just something we think about. And we're gathering this morning in a troubled time, but also one that is happening during a confluence of holy days and sacred seasons. Ramadan Mubarak to those who are celebrating, Blessed Lent to those who are practicing, sacred late winter for those who are just looking in awe at the trees around us. And we gather on this day of daylight savings where our sense of time is being changed and reminded that even that's just a cultural agreement we make. I was deeply moved by the words of Imam Khalid Latif, who is the first Muslim chaplain in the NYPD and is a chaplain at NYU. And the Imam said, live with intentional love and be a source of light to others in these days. Check in on others and don't let anyone know that you know. Feel alone. Those who are willing, he continues, embrace your luminosity. Be a source of love, life, and light. Do right simply because it's the right thing to do. Simply because it's the right thing to do. In this season of reflection and repair, what lessons in our tradition teach us about love and transformation, particularly in times that are turbulent and uncertain? Unitarians and Universalists all over the world have a beautiful and complicated history when it comes to worship life and spiritual devotions. Dr. Anthony Pinn, who quoted the writer Harold Bloom, who once asked, are we made free in solitude or community? And I said it once, I'll say it again many times, you'll hear me. A bird needs two wings to fly. Moments of solitude, moments of community. Moments of restoration, moments of being galvanized. And I offer that as our gateway into a conversation about love, because right now, the temptations of despair for many people who are connected to wider community are deep. But they're not the only response. And we need to be attentive to our spiritual balance, our moments of care for the loved ones around us, our attentiveness to the earth we're part of. One of my friends recently said, I'm grappling with two realities, and that is that I'm trying to accept, quote, multiple truths at the moment. Like, I can be happy in the sunshine and really deeply disturbed by the end of federal institutions without any care or thought. Both are equally deserving of my energy and are true and require intentional practice and engagement. And just as we're holding those multiple truths, we remember that all of us are a constellation of joy and sorrow and grief and longing and loss. And in a time where so much is unsettled, we have to remember the bird needs two wings. And if we go all into activism without caring for our spiritual health, for the care of our friends and family, we will burn out and we will not be able to meet the challenges ahead. But if we stay inside from fear of the anger and the news and the unsettlement, we will also burn the hope that is so necessary in our life in this time. Our Unitarian and Universalist ancestors emphasize that religion, the rites and teachings, rituals oriented towards our highest values, what Paul Tillich called our ultimate concerns, is to be treated with both respect for the ways that rituals and habits support and inspire the possibility of human flourishing, and also occasionally for suspicion about how those habits can make us a little avoidant to the grief and reality around us. Religious practice is a tool that can be abused or honored, that can help us see the world more clearly or become more avoidant. I think a lot over this last week about a graffiti tag I saw in Brooklyn a few months ago. And it said, "Are you helping or are you hurting?" I don't know if this tagger, I've seen that before. I don't know if this tagger is trying to make a movement. Are you helping or are you hurting? When I encountered our tradition for the first time, I was reminded that I was not the first person to question the religion I came of age in. And that, in fact, for generations, people have done that and tried to find communities that are supportive, healing, and connecting. Our ancestors came of age in times of deep violence and destruction, with abusive monarchs and cruel aristocrats. If you look back to the 16th and 17th centuries, that time of transition between the medieval and modern period, our ancestors in Europe and South Asia, whether they were in Venice or Chennai or Geneva, were individuals often wrestling in solitude and in communities often small, that tried to pursue, that tried to seek religious truth, just like we affirm in our chalice lighting. They were writers and shopkeepers and teachers, individuals quietly or not so quietly gathering and sharing spiritual teachings and unorthodox readings of Jewish, Christian, and Islamic scripture, often holding close at least a quiet fear, especially in Europe under the monarchies, of being arrested for questioning established norms. Miguel Cervantes, who was a Spanish academic and an early Unitarian in the 16th century, nearly 200 years before our congregation was formed, wrote books arguing that more unites Islam, Christianity, and Judaism than divides it. That still sounds radical to people. It was shocking at the time. But Miguel's pursuit of religious pluralism was not welcomed by political and religious leaders in the 16th century, whether Catholic Spain or Protestant Switzerland. Miguel wrote, "Ardua magis rest est amare quam credere," which in Latin roughly translates to, "It is harder to love than to believe." It's easier to just say, "Oh, I agree with these teachings. I agree with this interpretation." But to practice love toward your neighbor is hard. To practice love towards yourself, towards your family, towards those who are different, that's hard and noble. In our tradition, ethics and actions of love, putting food in the pantry, calling a neighbor in distress, showing up at a protest to protect health care, that's more valued and more difficult and more real than saying particular words or phrases in a particular order about belief. Servetus was among a rising generation of seekers, from skeptics and religious liberals in Venice and Poland to the writers of the Tamil liturgy in Chennai, who sought to creatively imagine new ways to think about faith. And the truth is, many of our ancestors had to live quiet lives to avoid harassment, sheltered, fearful, seeking places of refuge, and sometimes they paid for their truth with their lives by state authorities. Servetus was killed. So was Katrina Vogel, who was a brave woman in Poland. So were countless others. And while these individuals were connected to small communities, their stories were preserved. Their stories were preserved for generations and inspired others, who inspired others, who inspired others. And truly, you could go all over the world. You could go to South Africa right now and find a Unitarian congregation. You could go to the Philippines. You could go to England. You could go to Ireland in Dublin. There's a beautiful one near a park. People, for all the reasons that we understand, and also all the reasons that boggle the mind, choose to form alternative communities, even in environments where they're not welcome, and to create habits, rituals, and hopes oriented towards love. We are in a fearful moment in our country. Much is uncertain. Much is devastating for those who have certain visions of education and health care. But the story is not done. I want to lift up a prayer from the Unitarian community in Chennai, which is in our hymn book. And this is something they've said since the 19th century. And maybe the words don't completely resonate, and that's okay, but consider the spirit in which it's offered, which is that our faith invites us to imagine ways of connection and humility. And they write, "Oh God," you can hear it as, "Oh Spirit, oh God, root and source of body and soul, we ask for boldness in confronting evil. When you are within us, we have the power to countenance all that is untrue. O Father and Mother of all humankind, may we redeem our failings by the good work that we do in the name of the one and only divine unity." All over the world, Unitarians express their faith differently. We're a non-creedal tradition. Some of us are proudly secular, some of us are deeply spiritual, and yet we say it's worth being in the same room together, under the same sunlight, and that whether we are confronted by cruel monarchs, or cruel presidents, or cruel landlords, or cruel neighbors, we have dignity. And it's worth seeing one another and accompanying one another. the Reverend Cheryl Walker, who for many years served as an assistant minister at All Souls, New York, and is a leader in our movement, said that in this 21st century, the point of gathered life in a Unitarian congregation anchored by our common rituals and gatherings is threefold: to grow a soul, to make friends, and to make a difference. To grow a soul, to make friends, and to make a difference. As Unitarian Universalists following a teaching from Dr. Pittman, we are encouraged to pay attention to time and space, pace and place. Time and space, pace and place, to orient ourselves to put love first. To put love first in our hearts, in our interactions with our family, in our awareness of the civic good. To give ourselves moments of restoration and moments to be galvanized. To pay attention to a sacred balance that allows us to be awake to one another and that divine unity which we're all part of. Our story is long and still being written. It has involved encounters with cruel kings and aristocrats, with voices of delight and voices of fear, and the constant reminder that what we do might even be more important than what we say. In 2025, I have faith in the abundant life that is at the heart of our tradition. I have faith that a congregation that has struggled and responded over generations to the challenges and evils and possibilities of the United States can keep doing so. A congregation that fought for love when Joe McCarthy was a demagogue and Richard Nixon challenged and violated laws for human rights and human welfare around the world is a congregation that can continue to testify for all that is beautiful and good in this world. Our ancestors fought for freedom of assembly, and we're going to keep doing that. This congregation has hosted drag bingo story hours. This congregation has said people can gather and be free and loved. And the world needs to know that we still do, and we still will. And even if the demagogues get loud, and they always will, they're not the end of the story. Love can come first. And as Reverend Elizabeth Wen reminded, we can still grow. We can still learn and unlearn and change and be present. So may we be present to one another now and in the days ahead. May it be so.
Please join us in singing 118, A Little Light of Mine. It's in your gray hymnal. Please stand as you're able.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.
I invite you to join me in extinguishing our chalice. You can find the affirmation in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
As Reverend Elizabeth reminded us, help us to live by what we have learned and do right by the gift of beauty, love, and truth. May you have a week full of surprises, and may they be good. And if they are harsh, may you know you're not alone, and may you have encounters with kindness, love, and compassion. May it be so.
And so ends our service. So please join us in the parish hall for hospitality.